episode of my TARDIS tutorial. This time we're going to be doing a feature called Regeneration Healing. This is basically when the Doctor would use his regeneration abilities to, well, pretty self-explanatory, heal another being. So for example, in The Magician's Apprentice, he healed Davros, and in, say, The Angels Take Manhattan, he healed River Song's wrist injury. This didn't typically take an entire regeneration, but did take a certain degree of regeneration energy, at least. And I just thought this would be an interesting little ability to add to our current regeneration system. So yeah, that's what I've gone and done. So I'll just show you an example. So let's say that our little wolf here is very low on health, its tail's very low like this. We can actually heal him by giving up a regeneration. Like I said, it doesn't usually give up an entire regeneration on the show, but I thought this is probably about as close as you can get, because you can't take like a half a regeneration because it is a scoreboard which doesn't really operate with decimals. So yeah, this is what we're stuck with. So to heal an entity, you have to be within about one block of it, so get as close as possible. It's best if they don't move, so yeah, if it's a dog, just sit it down, and then you basically just crouch and look straight upward. You can see I start glowing, and in about 5 seconds you will see something happen. I lost a regeneration, but he had a little healing effect, and as you look, his tail's all the way back up. So the dog is basically 100% healed. But it did, in order to heal from almost no health to full health, it took an entire regeneration of mine. But no matter how much health they have, ultimately it's going to take the same amount of regenerations, like I said, because there are no real decimals with that. So how does this all work? So what you want to start with is making a scoreboard. You want to do scoreboard, objectives, add, and then you can call it what you want. I think I just called it sneak, because we're going to be detecting when a player is sneaking. And so for this, the criteria, it has a bit of a weird name. You want to do Minecraft.custom : Minecraft.sneak_time, excuse me, and then you would just hit enter, and that would add that scoreboard. That is now going to add a point whenever you are sneaking. So yeah, second step, you want to come and make a repeat always active command block, and you want to make it do tag at a scores equals sneak equals 1, so once they've snuck. You want to give unless they have the tag player sneaking, which is the tag we're going to give them. So if they're not already having it, then, and if they are a Timelord, then you want to add player sneaking. So this will not work if you're not a Timelord, obviously. And then you want to do some of these chain always active command blocks leading out of this. Make sure the arrows are pointing in the right direction, and they should activate after it, and you need to make sure they're in the correct order. So we start here with scoreboard player set at a sneak 0. So it sets your score back to 0 once it gives you the player sneaking tag. Then we have execute as at a tag equals Timelord, tag equals player sneaking. So a sneaking Timelord, add at S, anchored eyes facing entity, at E, tag equals regen heal. We'll get to what that is in a moment. Eyes, anchored feet, positioned, 1 block in front, rotated as at S, positioned, 1 block behind. If entity at S, distance equals ... 0.25, run effect give at S glowing 1 0 true. So to go over that, basically executing as the sneaking Timelord, if they're facing the entity regen heal, which we'll get to what that is in a moment, as I said. Basically it's the same command as the Weeping Angel or the Dalek casing. In fact, it's exactly the same as the Dalek casing, because the regen heal entity is another invisible falling block. So basically when the player looks at that entity, we're going to give them the glowing effect, basically. And that gave the little glowing effect, obviously, that you saw when I snuck and looked straight upward, because, as you'll see in this next command, this is for the entity, and it is directly above the player. So execute add at A, tag equals player sneaking, tag equals Timelord, run summon falling block 4 blocks above. Block state is red banner, time 599, drop item 0, and no gravity 1. And finally, it needs the tag regen heal. So obviously that'll allow it to get targeted in this command, so that when a player looks straight above at that entity, they will get that glowing effect. And finally, on this chain of command blocks, is tag at A, remove player sneaking. So yeah, once all this has happened, it'll remove the sneaking tag. Of course, if you continue sneaking, it'll continue to show up. So this is the exact same command, just testing for if they're looking at that entity, and if so, it will power on this block that isn't powered currently, and this one does scoreboard players add at A, tag equals Timelord, regen heal counter 1. Okay, so what's regen heal counter? Well, that's a second scoreboard we need to set up, and you can just set that up by doing scoreboard, objectives, add regen heal counter, and then the criteria is just dummy because it doesn't actually do anything, and then you can call it whatever you want in the display name, just put that in parentheses. You can even just call it dummy, I don't know, because you're not ultimately going to see this, so the display name doesn't matter. Press enter, and then you would have a scoreboard that basically does nothing. It's not actually counting anything because it's a dummy, and this is how you'd get a score on it, is by activating this command block. And then, once this shuts off, a redstone torch will go off here and set your regen heal counter back to 0. So basically that's going to go up as you sneak and look upward, and then go back down once you stop. So then what is this command block here? This one is just executing as that same Timelord, except it's detecting if their score of regen heal counter is at 100. So the score of 100 equates to ticks. There are 20 ticks in 1 second, and because they're being added pretty much the entire time that command block is on, that command block's running about 20 ticks a second as well. So 100 ticks accounts to about 5 seconds. You can change this to whatever you want. I just thought that if you're sneaking and looking upward for 5 seconds, that's when the healing effect will begin. So run effect give at E distance equals ... 2, tag equals not Timelord, so any other entity that's not a Timelord within a distance of 2, you will give them instant health 5, 100. 5 just being the seconds and 100 being the level. And that basically the high level makes it to where it heals them basically instantly to full health. And finally, back here, we have these command blocks. This one is repeat always active, and it is executing if entity at A, tag equals Timelord, scores regen heal counter is 100 or more. Then if that is true, it will do execute as at E, tag equals regen heal, add at S, run execute as at P, the nearest player, which is a Timelord, run scoreboard players remove at S, regenerations 1. So this makes it to where once you are crouching and looking upward, for 5 seconds it will add the healing effect to non-Timelord entities around you, and this will obviously remove the regeneration. But yeah, so kind of a lot to go through, but ultimately that's all there is to it. It's simple if you're good with scoreboards. If you're not, it may be a little more challenging. But hopefully I have told you everything you need to know in order to know how to do this. So I'm going to test this out on this iron golem. You can see he's got all these cracks because obviously this is very useful because it indicates how much health he has. So what you want to do is just head up to him, get right next to him, and he's moving, so it might be a little tough, but luckily he's slow so we can keep up. Basically you just want to crouch next to him, look straight up for 5 seconds, and he should get healed any second now. There you go. So he has been healed and we have lost 1 regeneration. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. This has been my Regeneration Healing feature, which I think is pretty fun and just adds a little more intrigue to the regeneration feature and a little more accuracy to Doctor Who. But yeah, I've been Tbo2. Be sure to subscribe, to follow my Instagram, Tbo2IT, to follow my Twitter, which is also Tbo2IT, to join my Discord, and lastly, to have a nice day. Goodbye.